So after years and years of bullshit and more bullshit, we finally have our Ant-Man movie in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Don't you just love when stuff like this pulls through? Okay, so Ant-Man. So Ant-Man follows the story of master thief Scott Lang, who's a convict that has a specialty in stealing and breaking into high maintenance places for a living. He's down on his luck. He's not necessarily a bad guy. He just made some choices in life that really cost him a few things. That is until he is approached by a mysterious figure named Dr. Hank Pym, who wants to give Scott Lang the opportunity in becoming the Ant-Man. Now, Scott Lang has to learn to master the suit and power of the Ant-Man so they can pull off a heist that can save the secrets of the Ant-Man suit and the entire world. Now, this movie had huge problems behind the scenes. Like, we're talking big to where Marvel's like, Ant-Man? Nah, that's too small. You get it? Big problem, small movie. Yeah, I know. It's a terrible joke. It was supposed to be directed by Edgar Wright, but due to disagreements he and Marvel had, he just walked off the set and Marvel just decided to take over the script. They made a few adjustments. They even wrote out Patrick Wilson's character. It was just a huge mess overall. And I was a bit worried for this movie because it being part of this crazy successful Marvel universe, it would be sad to see that Ant-Man would not be a fitting part to it. And like I said, thank God they pulled it off because I had a ton of fun with this movie. Because you got Paul Rudd as Scott Lang, and out of all the characters in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, he is probably the most relatable. He's a father that's trying to do the right thing, redeeming the father aspect within himself, and being the Ant-Man was the perfect second chance for him. And he was really good as Ant-Man. He got fit for the role, and since he's a comedian, you saw the comedic part of the hero, and his timing was so good. But you also have the legendary Michael Douglas as Hank Pym, who as always gives an awesome performance as Scott Lang's mentor. His backstory is so interesting and so compelling to the point where not only was he my favorite character, but I now want to see a movie where it's just him. Or possibly a TV show, because Marvel's doing TV now. He might be in Agent Carter Season 2 as young Hank Pym somehow. He's a really old dude, so I don't know how that's gonna work. Those two were the main stars of the movie, and they worked really well together. Evangeline Lilly as Hope Van Dyne was really good. I liked how they included her in the story because she was a total badass. Michael Pena and T.I. really surprised me because I was a bit worried about them since they looked like characters that were gonna be forced into the story. But they ended up being really funny and very useful to Ant-Man. Their comedic timing was just as good as Paul Rudd's. But I gotta touch on the action in this movie because it was like a breath of fresh air in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Seeing Ant-Man shrink in size and grow larger was one of the best parts of the movie. It was unique, stylistic, and something I have never seen before. I like when Marvel movies kind of go out of their comfort zone, and you see that in the action, which may be one of the most fun experiences you will have all year. The way the camera follows Ant-Man really gives the hero that signature feel. It made me say, like, this does not feel like a Marvel movie. And that's one of the best things I can say about Ant-Man, is that even if it was on its own, it would still work just as good. Because that's how Edgar Wright originally wanted his Ant-Man vision to be, but Marvel stepping in and saying, no, we want him to be part of the Avengers in future movies. But it was the action, the look, and the feel of Ant-Man that sold me on the fact that this guy is an awesome, relatable hero. The only really negative things I have to say about Ant-Man is the villain played by Corey Stoll. I thought he was pretty cliche. Him in the yellow jacket suit, I loved him. He was awesome. I thought he was a great super villain, but him as a character, he just wasn't that fleshed out. Walked out of Ant-Man like, he was an okay supervillain. I mean, I'm still waiting for Thanos. And how the intro was a bit rushed since it just feeds you information and background on Ant-Man, but that's really a small thing I have with the movie. Small, Ant-Man, I'm terrible with these jokes. But once it gets to Ant-Man, get ready for a ride, because hopefully, like me, you will have a lot of fun with this movie. Because in the end, Ant-Man paid off. I love Paul Rudd as Ant-Man. Michael Douglas was awesome as Hank Pym. It was hilarious. The action was really the aspect that made this movie stand out. It had a pretty weak villain. It felt a tad bit rushed on some parts, but when it gets to Ant-Man, that's when it gets more fun and interesting. Definitely a fitting part to the Marvel Cinematic Universe, because I say if you want to see Ant-Man, it is definitely worth the full admission. Thank goodness it all worked out in the end. Also, be sure to stay for the credits. There's a mid-credit scene and an end credit scene, and they are both really awesome. So Ant-Man, have you seen it, and what did you think about it? Whatever your thoughts are, leave a comment below. And as always, there's a link for my Twitter and my Facebook below as well. Keep in contact with me. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. But in the meantime, I have to get going to save the world, because I wish I was Ant-Man, but I can snap and teleport. I'll do that.